Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all good. So it's a really blustery day in the garden today, and I'm just having a little walk around looking at all my trees, and I've seen a few which I need to pot on. So I'm going to show you how I do that, and also I'm going to be feeding some of my trees today. So I've had a few questions about feeding, so I'll answer that as well today. So stay tuned and we'll get cracking. So we've got this larch here. Just get the rock off of it that we talked about in the last video that I said really needs repotting. So as you can see, the pot's quite small for it and it is growing well, but if it gets too root bound it will start to suffer. So we'll take this one into the greenhouse and we'll start with this one. Okay, so this is a Japanese larch. It only just fits in here. And it's in this tiny little 3 litre pot because it was a new addition last year. It was bare rooted and it didn't need a bigger pot at the time. But it's grown loads this year so far. We're halfway through the growing season, more or less. So you can pot things on whenever you want, really. There is various rules and stuff that you'll hear, but as long as you're careful with the roots, you'll be fine. So I'll bring it in closer and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this tree. Okay, hopefully you can see. So what we're going to do first things, we're going to take it out of the pot. Easiest way I found to do this is to just lift it up by the trunk and gently tap the pot and it should come off. So as you can see, it's basically filled that pot now and it needs to be potted on. So I'll give you another look at the roots. So all these white tips that you see, these are active roots. So you don't want to damage too many of them. It doesn't matter if you damage a few. I think I'm going to put it into this pot. So it was in a little 3 litre pot, and this is a 10 litre pot. So that should do it for the next, at least another year or two. I could probably get away with keeping it in this pot indefinitely, because I will be pruning it back until I'm ready to turn it into an actual bonsai. So what I normally do is I will loosen it up just a little bit around the top. And I don't want to break too many of the roots at the bottom. But if you can, if it's really root bound, this is not too bad. You can just gently tease out the roots around the bottom. Like I said, it's the wrong time of year if you listen to all the advice that you'll get. They'll say you shouldn't touch anything at certain times of year, you should only do this at this time of year. But as long as you're careful and you know your trees, you'll be fine. So I'm going to use this pot, like I said, and I've just got some multi-purpose compost. Doesn't really matter the brand. This is Miracle Grow, but I don't normally use that. It was just because it was cheap, and it is peat free. Not sure your opinions on peat and peat free, but I find the peat free stuff not to be as good. But this year, even the normal stuff I use has not been great. But it doesn't matter, everything will grow fine in it. So I'm going to get this pot filled up a little bit of the way so that we can get that in there. Okay, so like I said before, I sometimes add perlite or grit to the compost just to improve the drainage a bit better and make it so it's got better airflow in there. So I never buy the perlite you see in the garden centres because it costs a fortune. You can get big sacks of it. This is graded for horticultural use, water management, insulation and stuff. So this is like their builders stuff that they're buying bulk. So I got a big sack of it. I think it was about £20. And for 10 litres in the garden centre is about £10 to £15. So I think that was 50 litres. And like I said, compost this year at the moment is Miracle Grow, only because it was cheap. As you can see, it's not, it doesn't look great, but things seem to grow in it just fine, so I wouldn't worry too much about what it looks like. And horticultural grit I use as well. You can just use normal grit. Just make sure you wash it if there's potential for it to have salt and stuff on it. Give it a good wash. By wash I mean just put it in a big tub and rinse it with like a hose pipe or something. You don't have to wash it with soap or anything. So this is the tree. It's grown loads this year. So it's time to get it in a bigger pot. It keeps falling over because it's top heavy and it's needing loads of water at the moment as well. So we put it in a big pot, it'll weigh the bottom down a bit more and I won't have to water as much. So we'll get that in there. So I'm just going to mix up a bit of soil. Don't have to measure anything exact. I normally go for 2 or 3 handfuls of compost. And then just do a handful of perlite or gravel. You can also use sand, grit. And then I'll just keep doing that. Just gives you more or less 1/3 of the perlite. Right, so I've got the soil mixed up. I'll just put a layer in the bottom and then try the tree out to see how it looks. So that's probably about right. I'm going to apply it ever so slightly deeper than what it was because there's quite a lot of roots exposed when the soil was washed down. So get it more or less in the centre, press it in a little bit and then just fill in around it. Just press it in as you go. Don't over compact it. But at the same time, we don't want to leave any air pockets, so you've got to press it in around the roots and around the soil. Now this Miracle Grow stuff says it's got 6 weeks of feed in it, but you can put some feed in if you want. Now you can use something like that, bone meal, sorry. This is NPK 4.5, 16.3 and 0.3. You can also use, I've got some Grow More. This is just standard 777. The NPK is what you're looking for, nitrogen, potassium, and I can't remember the last one. Phosphorus, magnesium, it's got all sorts in it. But look for there'll be 3 numbers. 777, that's a balanced sort of feed for your plants. You can also use stuff like this that you get in a bottle, which you mix in with water to feed your plants. Again, there's a 777. But I wouldn't worry too much about it, as long as you feed it with something. Every now and then, like I said, I'll normally forget, so our trees still do perfectly fine. When you repot on it, you'll find that the nutrients in that soil that you're using will last it a good few months, probably longer than what it says on the thing. So that's in there, it's potted in. Normally I'll weigh it down for a bit with a rock or something, but I think it'll be alright now. So we'll take us back outside. Okay, so it's back outside, it's on the bench. I'll give it a good water now. just to settle the soil around the roots and wash through any fertiliser into the old root ball. And I'll put a rock in there, mainly just to stop our cats from digging in it. They like fresh soil to dig in. I've got a few more things that need repotting, and it'll be the same process, so I don't see the point in boring you. Okay, so I thought we'd have a look at this one. This is a flowering currant bush. Not the edible kind, although I'm sure you probably could eat it, I don't know. It's sold as an ornamental shrub. It's a flowering currant, not a black currant or anything like that. The reason I wanted to show you this one is because when I pruned it last, I put a cutting in there. I don't know if you can see that. And it's well and truly rooted now. It started growing nicely, so I'm going to take that out and separate it. And this is probably getting pretty root round in there. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it. So we'll do that now on camera. Right, so let's get this out of the pot and have a look. Now it's not too bad. You see that? Yeah. Got some nice roots on there. It's nowhere near pot bound yet. So I'll probably leave that in this pot and just separate off this cutting. So I'll just very gently try and get this off by raking away the soil around it. Yeah, I know these plants are tough as old boots, so I'm not worried about doing this sort of thing this time of year. If you're worried, just wait until early spring, just before it starts growing, just before the buds start breaking and the leaves start coming out. Do it just before that happens. Yeah, that's the best time, but like I said, this is a flowering currant, and currants grow really fast and really easy from cuttings and stuff, so I'm not worried at all. So there's that little cutting. There's the roots on there. That'll make a nice little bonsai tree in itself at some point. So we get that in a little pot. I'll put this one back in that pot for now. Just try and like fill in where that gap is. There's a spider. Go on. And what I might do while I'm here is just use a bit of the grow more. You can sprinkle it on the surface, you can mix it in with the soil. It doesn't actually say anything on here about potted plants, but you scatter it around the soil and stuff. It gives you a rough idea, 1 to 2 handfuls. Flowers, borders, trees, shrubs, 2 to 4 handfuls. Fruit and veg, 2 to 4 handfuls. You can use it on your lawn, 1 handful. So this is just a little pot, so something like that sort of amount, roughly, and then just work it into the soil. Every time if you do this, don't forget to water it through. So I'll take it back out and then I'll water it, and we'll repot the little one. Right, so let's just quickly get this potted. So that sort of pot is ideal for it. The root fits nicely in there. It's got plenty of room to grow for the next year or so. Right, I'll just use a bit of this. This has got grit and stuff on it. Get that in there, and then I'll use the stuff we mixed up a minute ago. Fill it up a bit more and get that planted in there. I'm not worried about the roots at the moment. I don't want to disturb them anymore. So we'll just get that potted in like that. And what you can do is gently lift it up. Just make sure the soil settles and you don't end up with any air pockets. Oops. Okay, so we'll take that one outside as well. And we'll give them both a good water. I'll have to find room for it on my bench. Put it down there for now. And there's that one there. Give them both good water. There we go. And I'll give that one a little bit more. Just use up the last of what's in here. This is rainwater that I'll collect. Okay, so if I was using the granular feed, I would just go around and just sprinkle some on the top of each pot, and then just work it into the surface a little bit, and then water it. With the liquid feed, I think it's like 1 capful per 5 litre watering can, and you just water them as usual with it. That's there. Everything else is looking good. The weather's cooled down a bit now. It was boiling yesterday, and today it's nice and cool. There's a nice breeze. Everything is growing really nicely. Okay everyone, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If there's anything else you want to see, just let us know. Anyway, hope you're all good. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next one.